The Asus ROG Ally is the next handheld system to step into the ring, Rob. Will the Asus Ally replace the Steam Deck? That is the big question at hand here. Before we get into that, though, I know it's a loaded question. I just want to get into some things here. What does the Ally offer that the Steam Deck doesn't? For me, there's three major things that I feel like the Ally ROG has to do, right? It has to have an amazing battery, a decent battery, right? It has to feel good in my hands. It has to like actually feel like I'm holding, something comfortable. And then finally, the price. The price is kind of here and there because there's rumors already that the price will be around 650 at base model, and then premium model would be 699, right? So before we get to the specs and pros and cons and all that stuff, Rob, quick impressions of the ROG Ally. What do you think of how it looks, and what are your first thoughts about it?
So right off the jump, it's more attractive than the Steam Deck, I will say. It has that white chassis. It looks really premium, like a premium product. It actually looks like an Asus product, right? I know you have the G Zephyr 14 or whatever it's called, the laptop. So it's very reminiscent of that. Has the RGB joysticks, which everyone, if you're a gamer, you love RGB. So definitely, if you look at the two systems together, this one is a more sleeker, looks more for gamers. The Steam Deck seems like almost antiquated and old by comparison if you put the two together, right? I have my Steam Deck right here. I'm wondering how big this thing will be compared to the Steam Deck, because one major thing about the Steam Deck is that it's massive. It's a big boy. Is this Asus ROG Ally, is it going to be a big boy?
From the pictures, it looks like it's pretty hefty. I would say it's probably in between the OLED Switch and the Steam Deck. I think it's going to fit right on, which is a perfect size, right? So for me, I feel like it's going to be a perfect blend of the two, especially with the specs, and we'll get into that in a bit. But the curvature, the curve appeal to this thing looks, there's no curves, there's like really solid lines in this thing, but it looks beautiful. It looks sleek. It looks like something that I want to get my hands on, if that makes sense. Whereas you actually nailed it. The Steam Deck already looks outdated, which is kind of weird because it just came out about a year and a half ago or so. So it's weird to see these two side by side and then think of the Steam Deck as an older technology when it really isn't. But because of how well-rounded the Ally is, I feel like it just kind of makes the Steam Deck feel a little bit old. So let's go through some of the specs here, some of the pros and cons that I found just by reading some of the things online. So the first thing we see is that there's a button similar to the Steam Deck, right? And I don't know about you, but the Steam Deck's paddles, they fit nicely. They feel good, right? So I'm hoping these feel the same. The noticeable difference here, though, from the jump, is from what I read, it's lighter than the Steam Deck. So although it is nicer, it looks cleaner, it looks sleeker, it is actually lighter because of the aluminum chassis that you were kind of mentioning before. That makes it feel a little bit lighter, which again is perfect for me. It also has the Hall effect sensors, sensor triggers. Now, Rob, for those that don't know what that means, can you explain a little bit what the Hall effect sensors are and what they do for this console?
So I don't know too much about Hall effects, but all I know is that they tend to be less prone to drifting or getting more fatigued or moving in place. Like I said, I know the joysticks on the Ally do not have Hall effect joysticks. They only have it on the triggers, which is kind of weird. But it's nice that you don't have to worry about your triggers. But I think the joysticks tend to get more use and stuff like that. So that is a little worrisome that it doesn't have Hall effect joysticks, but that's something we can overlook. A lot of things that are shipped out now don't have the Hall effect joysticks.
For sure. And along with the awesome rear paddles, right, we have dual front-facing speakers and button arrangements that are similar to the Xbox configuration. You can also change the LED colors as well, which is a nice touch. That's cool. I think that's really good to actually have something of comfort and you kind of understand what the button layouts are. And the big thing here, it runs Windows natively. Now, another game changer for you. What do you think about that?
Yeah, so it runs Windows 11, which is kind of, I think, the biggest thing about this is the biggest differentiator between the Steam Deck and the Asus Ally. This is a game changer. Literally, I think their slogan right now is play anything, right? I think my number one complaint about the Steam Deck is that I can't download all of the other installers or the other clients to play other games. If I want to play League of Legends, if I want to play Epic Game Store, if I want to open Xbox Game Pass, right? It makes it so difficult for me to do it because I have to jump through the hoops. I have to go to desktop mode and Linux and add into Zenith. It's a whole thing. So the fact that this runs Windows natively is huge for me. What does that do for you, Kelvin?
Same, man. I think because of the flexibility and the free the openness that you have, the free you're able to freely play any game that you have on any launcher, right? So you have your Game Pass, like you mentioned, you have your Epic launcher, you have your Battle.net launcher, like anything that you have on your PC, essentially, you can play it on your Ally, right? Which is crazy. Like you were mentioning before, doing that on the Steam Deck is a challenge. Doing that on the Steam Deck, you're going through hoops, you're going through hurdles, you're going to, going through the background trying to download all these things, and it's a pain in the ass, honestly. With this, it makes it easy. I don't have a huge catalog, I don't have a huge library on my Steam Deck, specifically because I don't have a huge Steam library. So I'm kind of, I don't know, like I'm kind of cornered. Like I don't have a lot of games to play unless I download them from my Steam. But with this, it makes it easily accessible for me to just play whatever I want because I have other games on other launchers. So that's a huge one for me.
Yeah, and I think it really depends on the person. If you have a huge Steam library and you live in Steam and that's where you're playing all your games, then the Steam Deck's perfect. Don't change anything about it. Like I would keep the Steam Deck because it is literally made for Steam, plays with Steam OS nicely. If you kind of go into all the different types of launchers and are playing a bunch of game and you're in Game Pass a lot more and you want to play more stuff from there, this is the more enticing option because it makes it that much easier. Like I said, for someone like you and me, where we're not just playing in just Steam. Like I don't have a ton of Steam games in my library.
I think before the Asus, we had Valve coming with the Steam Deck, right? That to me was, if you are a hardcore PC player and you want your PC games on the go, the Steam Deck is for you. This is for it. This is you, right? This is for you. Now, a new challenger has arrived, right? We have the Asus ROG Ally, and so they kind of upped the tier a little bit of what a hardcore PC gamer is in my eyes. Again, I'm just talking on my ass, but now I feel like if you want to go a step further, right? The Asus ROG Ally is your next kind of like tier of, if you are a major PC player and you're hardcore at all you're a hardcore PC player, you have all these games, your next best bet is to get the Ally because of the hardware, because of the ability to freely play any game that you really want. And so it kind of made a new tier of what a hardcore PC player would want out of a handheld, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Guys, let us know in the comments below. Are you getting the Asus ROG Ally? See, I said it right that time. I got it. We'll let you know. Kelvin will probably get it, so stay tuned for that. Are you going to get that? You're probably going to get it.